SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our coverage of 2014-2015 NFL season right now with Troy West from allplayswin.com. We're going to take a look at the upcoming NFL draft in early March. We're going to discuss the draft and discuss various possible prop bets on the draft order with maybe some value. Troy, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Feels like the Super Bowl just ended.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about the draft. Appreciate being on the show. And, I do think we may have some value in some of these props, Pete.
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm seeing. Before we get into it, give a quick plug for allplayswin.com right now. Of course, it's mid-February. How are things going in basketball season for you guys?
Basketball's been fantastic, Pete.
Really?
Our company's very selective with the NBA picks, but we follow college basketball extremely tight. We follow select conferences. We feel like there's value when you follow select conferences. Encourage viewers to come take a look. We're absolutely on fire right now. Allplayswin.com, 24/7 customer service, Pete.
Nice, awesome. Which conferences do you specifically focus on?
We focus on the Pac-12. We focus on the Summit Conference, the WCC, the Mountain West, and the Big 12. But we've really put a focus on the Summit Conference and the Pac-12 are the two that I cover closely. But some of my colleagues and coworkers cover the other ones.
All right, let's talk about some of these draft odds. I think I'm seeing some value in some of the odds that I'm seeing hanging right now. The only places that I've seen that are hanging odds right now are Stan James and Ladbrokes. So those are the odds that I'm going to quote here. The first one that I want to get to is the Johnny Manziel prop, right? Right now at Ladbrokes, it's a 4.5. Under is minus 150. The over is plus 110. So that means if he goes first, second, third, or fourth, you cash. And at minus 150, is there any way he drops down to number 5? 3 of the 4 top teams with the top picks need a quarterback.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Pete. They do need a quarterback. I think it's interesting in this draft particular because I don't think any of these quarterbacks are necessarily ready to suit up and play next year. I just don't see it, especially a guy like Johnny Manziel. Does he go number 1 to the Texans? I know they're desperate for a quarterback. You got to remember the Texans team is built to win now. I don't think they necessarily have time for a guy like Johnny Manziel to develop. This is a team with a great running back, one of the best receivers in football. Can they really bring in a young guy like Johnny Manziel and just suit him up to play? Would they waste the number 1 pick on him? I don't know. Then you move down to the St. Louis Rams. They've got Sam Bradford. I know he's been banged up, but I can't necessarily see them going for quarterback.
Right.
And then Jacksonville, they just wasted a pick on Gabbard. Are they going to really go right to a guy like Johnny Manziel, Pete? I'm not so sure.
All right, well then let's get to the odds for the top pick. Right now, Manziel is the 3rd choice. He's plus 400 to be the top pick at both Stan James and Ladbrokes. And the favorite is Teddy Bridgewater, minus 137 at Stan James, plus 105 at Ladbrokes. And then in second place is Jadeveon Clowney, plus 200 at Stan James, plus 150 at Ladbrokes. If I take a shot here, I'd take a shot with Clowney. Do you think Bridgewater should legitimately be the favorite to be the number 1 pick?
I'm with you. I think you got to go with Clowney as well, Pete. And I really am going to go back to what I said earlier. I think it's because the Texans have a need on that defensive line. I really believe that. We lost Mario Williams, and ever since they've been a little depleted other than J.J. Watt. They don't have a true rush. So I think Clowney could be the number 1 pick, and that's where I see the most value. I know they struggled with their quarterback situation all throughout the year, but these still are veteran guys. Would they really take a chance on a Teddy Bridgewater or Johnny Manziel or even Blake Bortles? I find it hard to believe. I think they would trade the pick away before they took a young rookie and suited him up. So I think Clowney's actually personally the best bet right now with the most value at number 1.
All right, and if you had to make a bet on that Manziel prop, 4.5 under, minus 150, over plus 110, which way would you go?
I hate to say it, but I would probably go. I would go that he falls out of the top 5.
Really?
I truly believe that. I just think that Johnny Manziel is too much of a risk to take in the top 5. A lot of these teams, I think, if they have to go quarterback, they may even trade their pick or look to a second-tier backup quarterback in the NFL rather than taking the risk on a guy who's been in trouble. He's been disciplined several times, and he's an attitude issue. I don't think he's the type of guy I would want leading my team that's been in the basement the last couple of years. So a team like the Cleveland Browns, the Jaguars, even the Raiders, would they really take a gamble on a guy like Manziel to take over their team? I doubt it. So I think he's fallen out of the top 5.
All right. Well, that's all I wanted to discuss with you about the prop odds that are being offered right now. But in terms of futures odds, what would you like to see from certain teams that might make you more likely to see value with their futures odds than not if they do something in the draft?
I definitely think the St. Louis Rams, I've looked at number 2 there. I think they're going to go with a guy like Greg Robinson, the offensive tackle out of
Mm-hmm.
Auburn. That just seems like, to me, a team that, they've got good wide receivers. Their defense looked a lot better towards the end of the year. So going offensive line, I know that's one of the prop bets, is getting a lineman that early in the draft. I think that's what's going to happen. And then I just think it'd be interesting to see 3, 4, 5. I know we talked about the quarterback situation, but will a guy like Sammy Watkins jump into that top 5, one of the best playmaking receivers college football has seen over the last few years? I think a guy like him could jump into the top 5. So some value there with an offensive tackle and a receiver being taken in the top 5.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Troy, once again for all your input on this. Troy West from allplayswin.com, seeing some value with Jadeveon Clowney at plus 200 at Stan James to be the top pick in the upcoming draft. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.